I'd like to tell you the short version of my story. This is not your typical story because this story doesn't yet have an ending. I would like to share with you my adventure from day one. I had been a longtime resident of Santa Cruz, California, a small coastal community on the Monterey Bay. In the summer of 2008, I was working with a tech group developing coding solutions for some of the first virtual tour software. Of course, I had my hands in so many other projects at the time, some profitable, some just hobbies. Back then, I was a big fan of Craigslist. For those of you who don't know what Craigslist is, it's basically a live, nationwide online classifieds website. One day, I ran across something you don't see every day. There was actually a cruise ship for sale on Craigslist. I was curious, but more so to do a virtual tour of the ship for my portfolio. This ship was located on the California Delta. I really had never ventured out to the Delta before, so I mapped her position and determined she was only a few hours away. So I decided to respond to the ad and pose as a potential buyer. I really had no interest in buying a cruise ship, but I knew I was unlikely to get a tour of the vessel otherwise. A couple of days later, I received a call back from the owner of the ship, and we scheduled a time for me to take the tour. I would pack everything up, and for the first time in my life, I would travel to the California Delta. As I passed over the Antioch Bridge, I could see the shape of the ship in the distance. This had to be it. The closer I got, the more fascinated I became. I just knew that this was going to be an incredible experience. When I first looked at her from across the channel, it was clear she was in a less than favorable situation. She was extremely neglected, but had some of the most beautiful lines of any ship I've ever seen. I would finally meet the watchman of the vessel, and he would take me to the ship with a small boat from a nearby marina. My curiosity was at a peak. I wanted to see this ship firsthand. Finally, I made it onto the ship. I was sad for what I saw, but still very intrigued. It wasn't hard to envision what she looked like in her past. Her decks had leaked for years, destroying much of her interior. She was a sad ship, and I'm sure she would have some sad tales if she could only speak. After my first viewing of the ship, she weighed heavy on my mind over the next weeks. Then the thought came into my mind, what if? It was only a thought at the time, but what if I was to take on this vessel as a project? She had beautiful lines but needed so much work. I didn't know much about ships at this point, but I knew she was something special. I had many skills that fit into this project, but had never even sailed or worked on a ship, let alone one of this size. What to do first? I really had no idea, but I was sure I could figure something out. This ship was inches from no return. Had I not come along, she would have likely been abandoned and eventually sank in place, costing millions to deal with. In my recent past, I had a long career in disaster recovery. I was part of a team that would travel the country and sometimes the world to various disasters to clean and repair fire-damaged electronic and mechanical manufacturing equipment. Our team was focused on factories and high-tech environments. At the time, I had a normal life and made a decent income with a tech startup. I was not a rich guy looking for a yacht project by any means. Owning a ship had never even came to mind. But something drew me to her, something I can't explain in words. I needed to know more before jumping in. I wanted to know the history behind this ship. I started researching this vessel over the next couple of weeks and could find nothing about her. It wasn't until I looked through thousands of images to eventually find a match. Her identity had been hidden under many coats of deteriorating paint. I was shocked at what I found. She had massive historic significance on multiple levels. There was no lack of information about her on the web. As it turned out, she was possibly one of the most documented vessels in the world. I knew it was time to take action. I couldn't allow a vessel of this historic caliber to remain in this situation. Have you ever had a time in your life when you were about to risk everything on something that you knew nothing about? This was that time. I had to jump in with both feet or not at all. Something kept telling me that this was the right thing to do, and amazingly enough, I felt calm and motivated to give this my everything. So I would leave my life as I knew it and embark on the journey of a lifetime. I needed to find a solution for this old ship and give her back to the people in either the form of a cruise ship or a static museum. Today she is one of the last remaining classic cruise ships to exist. More to come. It's early morning here in Stockton, and we're on the decks of the Aurora, and we're getting ready to do some cutting with the plasma torch. This will be the first time that we've actually utilized the power torch. I have some more people coming out today, so we're going to do a lot of grinding, welding. We're going to take off all of these old rails right here, which are pretty well done, and we're going to clear out the gutters, air chisel the rust out, get them all ready to where we can put some paint on them, add some like a OSPO to kill off whatever rust is left, and then we're going to go ahead and put a nice solid 2-part epoxy so that these gutters will, you know, stay intact for quite a while. Today, me and my crew are going to finish cutting away some of this railing, and we're going to go ahead and put some more on and try to get the caps on today. It's going to be a hell of a job, but someone's got to do it. Let's check it out. So while everybody was away, I had the opportunity to cut away, or to cut up some of the wood that's on the deck and air chisel some of the some of the rust away, and that's what these big piles here are. So that was a lot of fun. But a lot of this stuff is still left. We have about 30 feet of railing that's got to be cut off today. Then we got to grind down the areas that we're going to put the new rail, and once we chisel up and get rid of all the rust, then we can put some epoxy primer on it, and try to reseal the metal so it doesn't get any worse.
Sounds good.
All right. Shall we get started?
Let's go.
I mean, I think it's the right time to bring up all the bottles.
Right. The whole
enchilada. By the way, do we have enchiladas?
We do not have enchiladas. We have a couple chihuahuas, but no enchiladas.
We have chihuahuas.
Don't lean too far, Dave. Woo! Hey, we're gonna make some noise.
Fire it up!
Compressor on. Yeah, I got a feeling
there's another big piece of steel right there.
everything behind that concrete,
See that?
it's doubled up. You see the metal's doubled up?
Yep. Sure strap. Right there it is.
Yeah, just that big piece right there. Maybe cut around it, and then we'll isolate it.
Yep. And these posts are still welded on the back side.
So as we were cutting with the plasma, we found there's some concrete behind what we were cutting on. So instead of lighting the plasma back up, we're just going to use the cut wheel and cut through the same cut and clean it off. And we're back at it.
So Grid just got done cutting off all the railing over here, and we still have a long way to go. We have to air chisel up all of the concrete that somebody laid to level the gutters out, and then we have to cut off some old steel and probably patch a few holes that are under the concrete. I'm imagining that that's why the concrete was laid down, in order to patch holes. Somebody didn't have the ability to weld at that time. So that's what we're doing, and we'll show you some more progress in the next video.
This is some of the original teak from the Aurora ship that we've removed, and we're going to cut out the dead or rotted parts and refurbish this wood to reuse as railing. A lot of the deck was also this same teak, but it was rotted, and we're not going to be able to re-deck the ship in that same teak. So we're going to take some of that wood and also use it as railing.
Let's fire this baby up!
So I'd like to thank the crew members that came out today in order to help on the Aurora.
Dave!
What's with Dave? That's just so
Funny Dave! It makes Chris crack up. We want to thank Dave, myself, Grid Margraf, and Shane Moss, longtime Aurora crew members. We'll see you all later, guys. Next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Y'all come back now, you hear?